Welcome back to the Red Path. Today I'm joined by Mr. Asher Marines. You all know him. You all love him. He's here and we're going to talk a little bit of World Eaters. But first, we've got something a bit special to talk about. So first off, Dara, how are you doing today?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm really happy to be here. Excited to share some big news, I think.
Yeah, me too. So look, let's just get to it. Let's not keep people waiting. Dara and I have obviously we've talked together. We've done several videos together over the last 6 months or so, and we were talking a couple months ago and bouncing some ideas back and forth with each other, and we kind of came up with the thought of having Dara join the Red Path, and that is what we're here to announce. So Dara, by the power invested in me by our Lord and Saviour Khorne, Master of the Eightfold Path, I hereby anoint you a member of the Red Path. Welcome to the channel, mate.
Thanks, man. It's I mean, it really is an honor. I'm thrilled to be part of it. You know, it's yeah, you could have said this to me like last year, you know, you're going to be this or whatever. I would be like, that's ridiculous, son. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, honestly, thank you so much. And you know, I'm really excited to bring some new content to the channel, and obviously make some really cool content with yourself. And yeah, it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, it's I know one of the challenges I guess I've had with the channel is hobby work, right? Hobby is such a big part of 40k, and it's one of my weaknesses. And obviously, anyone who's a fan of the channel, subscriber, you know Dara's paint stuff, and you know it's exceptional stuff. And I've been thinking about ways to enhance that, and you know I want to try myself. But then you know, as like I said, as we were talking, and we were sort of talking about you thinking about doing your own sort of like channel or streaming and stuff like that. And to me, it was like, well, number one, we're both massive World Eaters nerds. I mean, it's Blood God 24/7, right?
For sure.
And we're both appreciate both the competitive side and the kind of narrative lore fluffy side. We're not hardcore 100% ITC no matter what. We love everything about it. And I'm sure most people watching have read at least some, if not most, of your Reddit tacticas, like on #DrillGang, for instance. You know, and
we love the Drill Gang,
and just stuff like this. So I think like our opinion of World Eaters 40k Chaos, whatever spin we're going on, is very similar, and you can bring something to the channel that I necessarily I'm just loath to do myself. However, we're going to talk about that a bit more in a minute. But I also want to, just for everyone at home, because Dara, you've got certainly way more ninth experience than I do. And personally, I was deep into it in 8th edition. But a lot of my kind of tactical insight is still kind of vestigial of 8th edition. Just because I've had like 5 or 6 games in 9th, just because how the world is. But like you have a housemate that you can play with, Drakari, and oh my god.
Yeah, I'm blessed with two housemates.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
but
right.
It's Blood Angels and Drakari, so I'm just like, oh, glad my codex is not new and yours is.
But your insight, as you know, as we're talking like Discord and different competitive places online, always brings a fresh take on it. And you know, get a lot of that from just about everyone who's chatting in the Discord or on Instagram and all these other places we talk about stuff. But I'm really excited for us to work closer together, you know, in however we're doing the content, and getting your maybe some kind of conversion of your written tacticas into video form as well. I think that's going to be a really good asset for people who watch the channel to enjoy as well. What regarding the tactical side, because we're going to talk about the hobby in a minute, what would you like to be able to discuss you know, whether it's a particular unit that comes up from under the ground or something like that. Is there anything you'd like to consider, you know, video wise for tactical strategy kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, you already do a lot of it with your unit focuses. I'm a particular fan of that sort of analysis because it's very easy for someone to, you know, watch something like that. You know, they can pick up, like, say, a couple of nice little tips and tricks about a unit that they might particularly like.
Yeah.
I'm especially interested in kind of bringing up units that people don't regularly take, which is kind of where the Hellblade came from, where the termite drills came from, stuff like that. You know, where it's like, hey, you probably haven't used this unit, but here's something you can do with it. You know, because we all know how the Red Butchers work, how the Berserkers work. I don't need to give you a 20-minute video or like a page-long article about that. You know that. But what about something like a drill, or, you know, something I've been thinking about a lot lately are obliterators, and how to make those work.
Yeah,
I'm like pretty interested in them as well. As well as like some other couple like of fringe units. I don't want to like spoil any surprises or anything of what I have in mind, but that's one thing. I also like the idea of like talking about overall list builds and functionality. You know, how an archetype can work. So like my current archetype, which is the double drill list. You know, how that functions as a whole.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is really interesting. And I would say, as well as that, the third thing that I really am looking forward to dissecting and stuff is countering meta. So,
Okay.
I mean, I guess like a lot of the time in the Discord right now, we're trying to work out how do we beat the Death Guard, how do we beat the Dark Eldar, and I would like to really kind of sit down and work out myself how to do that, and then present it to all of you and say, okay, these are my thoughts. Obviously, they might not be, you know, the best way of doing things, but this is what I think, and get a discussion going. You know, see what other people think and stuff, and get the community involved. So I would say, in terms of a Tactica perspective, that's kind of what I would be looking to do.
Yeah, I think that works kind of really well with kind of my philosophy as well. I certainly agree on the unit analysis. The you pick one thing and you dive deep into it, and you pull out every combo, every strand of intelligence you can, and you sometimes find that little synergy that you maybe didn't think of before, like or something. And with regards to like the list discussion, building a counter meta list, or just building a list in general, I guess, I 100% agree. Like my video a couple of weeks ago where I presented my list. Immediately afterwards, there was discussion. Some in the YouTube comments, but some in the Discord as well. And someone said something. I was like, I think it might have actually been you and I were talking about it. And it was like, okay, so I can swap out my Marines and drop a biker, and then I can get 2 quad heavy bolters, and suddenly my level for me felt just that little bit more enhanced. Whereas in my own little world, in my own little bubble, I'm just thinking in just Jamie's space, you know, and that's good for me, but it's so much better with other people giving their thoughts and their comments and making me challenge myself. And I definitely think that aspect's going to be really cool to get your take as well, and for us to bounce things around between each other, between the community, and we're going to get a top tier World Eaters list, and you bet your ass we are.
Well, that's the race to the top, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's what it's all going to be about.
So let's talk about the hobby side of things, because obviously that's a huge part of like your skill set in the hobby. Like as I've said before, you're kind of like the Renaissance man of it, the painting, the tactical skills. You've got a little bit of everything going on. Just give us a brief overview of some of the things you may want to be uploading for the Red Pack.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I'm going to go with, like, I guess what was most popularly requested by myself. So a lot of the time when I post my world leaders, people are like, how do you paint, you know, X, Y, and Z? How do you do your blood effects? How do you do your white armor? All that sort of stuff. And I was getting pretty tired of having to type out these really long answers to people. As much as I am so grateful for any time anyone says that, like, it is very humbling when I receive that. But I kind of just said, okay, what if I just make a video and just get it done with, and then I can just link it to people. And I guess like that's where it all began, because I contacted you and I said, okay, do you know anything about how I go about editing this, etc., etc. And yeah, then we decided, you know, what if I was to join. So yeah, the first thing I'm going to be doing is doing a full tutorial for how to paint a World Leader Berserker in my own paint style. So that's like the Grimdark 30k style. The specific Berserker he's completed. You'll have seen him on my Instagram if you follow me there. And the video is almost complete now. I'm really excited to show it off. I think it's pretty cool. Then after that, I'm going to be doing a 40k Berserker. So like the red and brass scheme. I have some other ideas then for a video on skin tones, which I think it's another thing a lot of people ask me about. And it's something that I've only really recently sort of properly sat down and worked on skin tones and pushed myself to a new limit with them. So I'm going to do a video on that. I'm going to do a video on OSL and how to sort of do that with Marines. I got some demon ideas for like bloodletters and stuff like that. Yeah. As well as some other like small little, you know, sort of focuses. Like I'm going to look at maybe like weathering, going to look at how to do like tanks and battle damage on those. Lots of fun ideas. It's going to be a solid mix of like pretty short videos where it's like you can like sit down and get some good tips in like 10 minutes, and then like longer kind of focuses where it's like we're going to take this model from start to finish and I'll show you how to do everything on it. Yeah. That kind of an idea.
And as we were talking about this, we've got a plan, and just for everyone at home, it's a soft plan at the moment, because you know we both work full time. We're in different time zones. You know, it took us about an hour of discussion to nail down this 1 hour of the day where we can talk right now. We've been talking for like a week. All right, can you do this? It's like, I'll reshuffle that. But one of our plans is to hopefully, again, depending on shifts and everything else, do something like a live stream, a sit and paint live stream, approximately every 2 weeks. So very much subject to change. And basically how the format we're kind of discussing is basically Dara's going to teach me how to paint, because that is something I've struggled with. Is like I started painting properly late in the game, and you know, I've watched 100 different tutorials, but whether it's my set, the way I learn or whatever, I need to be taught something. I need someone to explain something. So I think the kind of format we've discussed is, you know, whatever commission you're working on at the moment, or maybe the Latara Siren Bust or something, whatever you've got going on, we're going to have a nice sexy close-up of that, because that's going to be the good stuff. And then I'll get a potato camera, you know, 6 feet away, so you can just see. I would like to, because I'm going to start an Emperor's Children army. This is not going to shift the focus of the channel. Everyone, don't worry, we're staying Khorne. But I really like Emperor's Children as well. So I'm thinking, whilst I'm going to work on my World Eaters, hopefully this weekend a little bit, a new project, get me pumped up again. I've got some new paints, some new colours. I'm going to design the scheme so I do not have to use metallics unless I, you know, for very tiny details, because that's my sticking point. And then so basically we're gonna sit, we're gonna chat, talk about World Eaters, we'll talk about meta news, or we've kind of discussed, you know, having kind of brainstorms on how do we deal with a particular faction, like as a World Eaters player, right? Whatever we feel like talking about, we're gonna chat, and then I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna say, hey Dara, how should I paint this? And you're gonna give me your expert advice. And
I wouldn't call it expert, but
listen, it's pretty expert, man. No need for that. But I mean, when we put up our models side by side on the camera, there's going to be a clear distinction. I'm going to have my little and because we were talking about the sort of hobby content that's available, right? And like you said, there's so much great stuff. But for a purely entry-level painter, hobbyist, like you watch a lot of these videos, and a lot of the terminology is still quite technical. If you don't have an arts background, like myself, I don't, you are like, okay, so Wikipedia, what's this? And Google, what's that? and I'm hoping that we can offer a kind of fun, I don't want to say service, but a fun perspective on a journey of, you know, you painting your kick-ass stuff and me painting some absolute shite at first, but slowly, you know, after a few months, maybe I'll put a squad or something and we can say, oh, thanks, Matt. Thanks for teaching me how to paint within the lines, you know?
Well, I mean, I totally agree with you when you mentioned about the terminology, and that's something that when I'm making my own videos, I really want to break down for everyone, because I know, like, I suppose when I was younger, you know, the resource wasn't there, so I basically taught myself. And I know you like tagged me in that Instagram thing to show my first ever model. I don't have it with me. It's in my like family home, and it's so bad. It's like a Crimson Fist. But like, I could not decide how I wanted to paint my Space Marines when I first bought them. So there's actually so many layers of different paint on them that you can no longer actually see the definition of the helmet at all. It's basically like this like potato blob. So I had to. I know when I settled on the Crimson Fists, which are still my number one chapter, it's like basically like 2 red splodges where I thought the eyes used to be, and then like a metal splodge in the front where the grill used to be. And like this will show you how much there was. There's so much paint on that model that, you know, like the ridge on the edge of the shoulder pad that doesn't exist anymore. It's just like a lighter blue line where I was like, I know there used to be something there, but I can't remember what it is. So like that was like my intro to the hobby, okay? Because then I got out of the hobby for a long time, and when I got back into it, I was like, whoa, there's so much resource, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But and I sort of started messing around with my own stuff, like my Primaris Marines, and I moved into World Leaders, and I said I want to do Grimdark. You know, I really want to capture that Blanchitsu feel. And when I started getting into it, like, there's a lot of fantastic Grimdark resource on YouTube, but the terminology is really confusing. And I was like, as you said, I was Googling stuff. I was like trying to find out, you know, what the hell is a white spirit, what's an oil paint, I like all this stuff. So in the first video I'm going to post where I do my Berserker, it's a long video, but that's because I talk a lot about that stuff. You know, I break down the oil painting, I break down the weathering, pigment powders, enamels, all that stuff. I try and cover it all. And in other videos, I really plan on properly sitting down and saying, okay, this is how you properly paint with oils, and this is everything that goes into it, and when someone says this, it means this, and like that kind of stuff, because I think it's so important. And like, when I started understanding I suppose the science of why, you know, paint acts in a certain way, I was able to manipulate it myself and develop my own style, and that's kind of how I've gotten to where I am today. So I really want to bring that to the channel and, you know, help people understand the way certain things work, rather than just understanding that is how it works. You know, like, get that fundamental going. And I think in our live streams, you know, if I ever say something being like, oh, you want to do this thing, you can just be like, why would I do that? And then, you know, we can have that discussion where it's like, well, you know, this is actually the theory behind that technique or something. And like, you know, why do people edge highlight? Why do people wash? You know, stuff like that. It, like, really break that down and try and understand, you know, why that happens, and then how you can manipulate it yourself to maybe stand out from the crowd and do something that makes it your own.
Yeah. So what you're saying? Oh, man, where's my? Hold on. I need to get something real quick. So let me just start, because obviously we haven't hobbied together. We haven't, you know, done any painting together yet. Would this be a good brush to start with?
To be fair, I use brushes like that a lot. You know, when I'm painting my tanks, I'm
trying to troll
one
you,
of the,
man.
one of the things. No, but like, one of the things that like people always ask me is like, oh, do you need specific paints? Do you need to get like Vallejo? Do you need to get, you know, your really fancy artist opus brushes? Like, man, I kind of just use whatever, you know. It's a lot of people focus way too much on kit. When it's really, that's not what's holding people back. Like, it can certainly add a lot. But like, yeah, I know one of the painters I really aspire to be more like, it's Zatskugan Miniatures, I think. He runs the Grimdark Compendium. He made a really really good post on Instagram recently where he was basically just saying that, like, what makes a Grimdark paint scheme is not the materials you use, but it's like your understanding of realism and that sort of an aspect. And I thought it really hit home that it's like, you can achieve an amazing paint scheme by just using GW paints and brushes that you buy in a local art store, you know. So yeah, really want to kind of bring that to the channel, you know, and try and make people understand that there isn't like a sort of a ceiling where it's like you have to have this if you want to do this. I really want to kind of, you know, cement that in.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a really useful and valuable tool for the community at large. Of course, it's going to help the channel. Just having that hobby aspect, that's a whole new community we can open up to. And you know, there's always an element of for me, and now for you, is how can we grow? Because I want, you know, I've been fairly clear in what this kind of purpose of the channel is, and I want to grow. I mean, I've got selfish reasons. I really want to be, you know, notice me GW, but I want the channel and our little community to be kind of a force for good. You know, be bad, do good. It's kind of like my kind of theme I'm trying to get across. Whether it's community work, charity work, treating people with respect, all that. And the bigger we grow, and the more people we reach out to and kind of pull in and entertain and make them enjoy our stuff, I think we can be. I think that's going to be a massive boost in that regard, and I'm just super excited to do it. Like I'm finally, I've been talking to a couple other folks, and I've had a couple people message me and said, hey, you need to paint something, and I'm like, I'm kind of peer pressured in, and I'm going to try and do some this weekend. But I'm starting to get excited to do it again, and just the idea of whenever we can finally get together and stream, and I actually get my models sorted out, I'm kind of excited to do it again, which is something I haven't, like, all through COVID. It's been like, paint. But now starting to get
painting funk.
Yeah, and that's what it should be. You know, it's not for everyone, but if you can do something and have fun doing it, that's the goal, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, getting out of that hobby rut can be really difficult, and like I know a lot of people had it during COVID, where it's like, you know, you're stuck at home, and like you just don't really feel like painting. And I get that. Like at the start I was like that too, and I basically like forced myself into painting because I was like, I have so many models that I need to get done. And then I started doing commissions, and I was like, okay, now I have to paint, you know, because I was like, someone is paying me to paint. Yeah. I have to do it, and I've loved it. It's really upped my hobby game. Like I only learned how to do stuff like skin tones and OSL like literally this January. I was like, okay, I need to do OSL because like some of my people were like, can you do OSL on this model? And I was like, okay. Yeah. So like, you know, and I loved it. I mean, it's really fun to force myself to be like, you need to learn this technique and you only have 1 week to learn it. And I was like, cool, that's good, you know. It's and it really helped me. But yeah, like getting out of that sort of that headspace where you're like, oh, I don't really want to paint. And like that's like, for a lot of people, that's the hardest part, is like sitting down at that paint desk and, you know, opening that first pot and saying, all right, we got to get started. So hopefully, you know, if we're doing this stream, like other people can join us and join us in chat, and you know, while they're painting, we'll be painting. It's sort of like a hobby hangout, you know, where we can sort of chat with everyone and have a good time.
Yeah, like I said, I'm super looking forward to it. So obviously, as a rundown, just to summarize for anyone who skipped ahead for whatever reason, Dara's gonna be taking part in every aspect of the content, whether it's tactics. He is going to be taking the lead on hobby stuff, certainly to start with. But you know, we're gonna bleed that skill from him until he's got nothing left to give. Sorry, mate. But yeah, but Dara's absolutely going to be involved in tactics, competitive discussions, podcast chats, whatever. So what this means for you, the subscriber, the viewer, at the start, over the next couple of months, you probably won't see too much change other than an occasional extra video, a painting video or something like that. You're obviously going to see and hear Dara on the channel more. It's going to allow me to step back just a little bit to focus on kind of enhancing the channel as a whole, because there's a lot of aspects that I've had to neglect necessarily to produce videos, because videos is a huge time commitment. But now with Dara on board, we're going to keep about the same schedule, definitely 2 videos a week, occasionally a third. One of those normally is going to be like a sit and chat like this. But as time goes on, as you know, we get better, you know, sharing our stuff so we can edit better and stuff. We're going to see an increase in content and a diversification of content. You know, more hobby stuff and sit and chats, and you know, there'll be videos where it's Dara discussing tactics. Videos, maybe in a few months, a video where I do a hobby video. Who knows? But basically, this is good for you because you're going to get more stuff, and you're going to get better stuff, and you're going to get a more diverse range of stuff. So I think this is a really good thing for the channel and the community. So I'm just so happy to have Dara on board. I think it's going to be awesome. So what as I have to try and teach myself to not take charge so much of these conversations as the host. But this is kind of like the end, right? In the next time we chat, you're in charge, mate, and I'm going to be the guest. Right. But yeah, we're going to kind of we've got a little bit of a topic of discussion, just a little something to talk about. Some kind of tactical stuff, kind of hinted at it earlier. I know, Dara, you was talking about, you know, some people in Reddit or the Reddit Discord asking you about some HQ units, tactical advice on particular units, and someone mentioned to me in Discord or was talking about a particular Chaos unit, and I was like, I've got some thoughts. So we both basically came up with a Chaos Space Marine Codex unit that's shit, quite frankly, and we both decided what could we do. Dara's picked his, I've picked mine. What could we do to just try and make them a little better? Like just within the rules as they exist, within the stratagems, warlord traits, or whatever's available. What could we do to make this maybe playable in a maybe not a meta or not a top tier competitive list, but in something you wouldn't be ashamed to bring to the table, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to rub some shine on these things. So, Dara, why don't we start with yours? First of all, what unit did you choose?
Our beloved friend, the Master of Executions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why does he suck? Because he does. What's his? Yeah.
So many reasons. Yeah, I mean, he's like an anti-character killer guy who just doesn't really do his job. He's a HQ when he probably should be an elite. He's not good at it. He doesn't have interesting special rules. He doesn't have exceptionally powerful war gear. He doesn't have the ability to take relevant relics. He's all around. He's pretty bad. But I am more interested in him now than I ever have been since he's been released. It's because of the drill gang.
Oh my god! All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just to clarify, he's T4, 3-up save. Is he 4 wounds?
He's 4 wounds. Yeah, no invul.
So just a straight Marine stat line with 4 wounds, and
he has 5 attacks, I think.
Okay.
5 attacks base.
He's killy-ish.
Yeah.
And with his just acts of dismemberment or whatever it is, it's not bad.
Yeah, the axe is actually pretty good. Yeah. So like the thing I like about him, there's a lot that I actually do like about him next to that. But so the axe itself is strength ×2, so he's going to be hitting you on strength 8. It's AP 3, and it's damage D3, and mortal wounds of 6+, not unmodified 6s, cause mortal wounds. So
okay,
that's one of the reasons why he's interesting, and I'll get to that. But yeah, aside from that, he has his he can heroically intervene 6 inches into a character, which is, that's fine. Doesn't have an invuln, doesn't have any auras. That's pretty much all he does. So he's like another version of the Exalted Champion, I guess, without buffing anyone around him. Is kind of where I think he stands.
Yeah. Okay. I'm kind of suspicious that he's going to replace the Exalted Champion Codex-wise. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
I'll be very upset if we lose that reroll wound aura. Oh my gosh. But tell us, all right, so what have you done How have you turned the Master of Executions into something that I might, as a fellow competitive player, think about? Okay, I'm going to think about him. What are we looking at?
Okay, so number one, he's cheap. He's only 65 points,
Right.
which I think makes him the cheapest HQ that we have available. I know it used to be the Warpsmith. I think the Warpsmith is more expensive now.
Right.
So that's good, you know. So he can slot in nicely there. He is a pretty good anti-meta character right now, because if we look at the meta, you know, we've got a lot of Dark Eldar, we have a lot of Death Guard. Both of those armies rely very much on characters who are moving up the board into your face, especially the Dark Eldar. You have Drazar, you have Archons, you have the that succubus that can get like 40-something attacks.
Yes.
You know, you have, and then on the Death Guard front, you have the Virions, like the guy who shuts down all your, like, you know, makes you not fight first and all that sort of stuff. So he's really good at like a pick against them. Because in the case of the Death Guard, where it's like, oh, you've shut down all auras, he doesn't care because he doesn't have any auras.
Right.
He can automatically reroll a hit, wound, or damage roll against any character of his choice.
Yeah.
So you have that sort of security, because like that's not an aura, you know, it's not like the Lord's aura. So you will get one of those rerolls.
Yeah.
He's going to be hitting you with 7 attacks on the charge, that's like a lot of attacks considering it's like an old Power Fist profile. If you put veterans on him, he mortal wounds on 5s.
Mm-hmm.
If you make him the Warlord, which is not such a big deal anymore because Slay the Warlord doesn't exist, and you give him Flames of Spite, he does mortal wounds on 4s, which is pretty interesting, with 7 attacks.
All right, hold on. Flames of Spite.
Yep, it's the thing that people used to use for Gorvex's Teeth for the Chain Lord. So Flames of Spite is mortal wounds of 6s or something, do mortal wounds.
Right.
But so, oh no, sorry, my apologies. So basically, it's an extra mortal wound for each one of those. Yeah.
On a 6 that gets modified to a 5.
On a 5. So if you roll a 5, he does 2 mortal wounds.
Right.
Basically.
Okay.
So yeah, he's dishing out a decent amount of damage at that point.
Yeah.
And you know, I think his axe is AP3. You can make that AP4. You know, very easily.
Yeah.
You can give him the Death to the False Emperor on 5s, or against Imperium 6s against everyone else. You know, you can do all the normal things that we like to do for World Leaders. And like normally I would never have considered him because he won't fit in the Rhino with the rest of the gang. He will fit in a drill because it's capacity 12. It's perfect. It's literally perfect, man. So like you have Drazar running at you and you're like, it's all over, we're gonna die, and the Master of Executions just comes out, he 6-inch heroically intervenes and he takes Drazar's head and it's game over, you win. You know, so I think he has a play. I think he genuinely has a place now. And I am actually, in my latest iteration of my competitive list, I am running a Master of Executions and I'm going to see how he does. And I'm actually going to run him as the Warlord for that Flames of Spite thing that I was saying. So I'm just going to see how it goes, because like I don't need any of the other Warlord traits in the book right now. You know, they're all whatever. I don't need Violent Urgency. I don't need anything else. So I'm like, well, I might as well use Flames of Spite and just throw it on this guy, because it really doesn't matter if he dies, as long as he doesn't die in like turn 1 if my opponent's taken Slay the Warlord or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see how he does. I certainly don't think he's good. I will say that right now. I just think he might have a place in this very specific build that I'm looking at the moment. He's not bad, I think. It's just, you know, this might work. It's an idea, is what I'll say.
With his specific heroic intervention ability, is it generic heroic intervention, or is it he may heroically intervene 6 inches toward characters?
Yes, yeah.
So it's only 6 against characters.
Exactly, yeah. And he has to end within an inch of the character. So it's like the caveat is he is allowed heroic to intervene 6 inches if he's within 6 of a character, and he has to end within an inch of that character.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's just as you mentioned the drill there, because I'm thinking like obviously with a capacity of 12, you get 2 squads of 5 berserkers in there, Master of Executions, maybe Khorne or whatever, you know, single model unit you can squeeze in there if you so choose. And you're playing Drukhari, and obviously I know you've talked about often. You start both your drills on the table, don't you?
Almost always.
Generally,
I would say like against maybe certain armies in certain builds I wouldn't. So
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Admech or Imperial
Okay,
Knights I
yeah.
probably wouldn't. But like
Yeah.
if I don't start the drills on the table against something like Drakari, they have all the board presence in the world on
Yeah.
turn 2, and I can't bring the drills in anywhere.
Yes.
The drills for me are rhinos.
Yeah.
I look at them as a rhino and I
Yep.
play them as a rhino, and
Right.
so I haven't run that many games with them yet, but the games that I have, they have been phenomenal.
So, assuming it's like a flighty, fast, hard-hitting Drakari type army, depending on how the terrain is and everything, I can see myself. I'm just picturing it in my head. The one rhino that's got 2 squads of 5, master, maybe Khorne, or what doesn't matter, pushes forward straight away because I want to lure in that HQ blob, that big threat. I want them to come because it's T8. It's 3 up save, potentially with a 5 up invuln if you've got your apostle, depending on if you play. And they want to crack it open because they want to shoot it with all their ridiculous shooting, and then combat inside and you kill the berserkers because that's what they can very easily do. Obviously you've got to do the math hammer on the day, but you as a vague plan, you push that one drill forwards, come get them. They spend a turn of shooting dark lances and all the ridiculous flamer stuff they can pull off and all that stuff. They pop it. Your Master of Execution pops out 3 inches. Your opponent, you're playing World Eaters, stupid move, whatever. I'm gonna ruffle stomp you, blah, 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 whatever. They don't care about one little Master of Executions. But you've got, assuming you don't roll 12 ones, you're gonna disembark 3 inches, potentially up to 6 inches if you play the strap. You know where those enemies currently are sitting before the charge phase. You position them so not an easy target to charge, but you've got that 6-inch intervention in mind, and you know where Drazar or whoever you may get, and it's not. It feels like a gotcha, but it's not a gotcha. It's like
it's more like you've misplayed. I've caught you out.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
you thought I was playing a trash army with a trash codex, which to a degree we are.
Yes.
But I brought this one unit which everyone laughs at, and because you haven't done your research for my army, because we're low tier, 6-inch heroic intervention, double mortal wounds on 5s, say goodbye to an integral piece of your army. Sure, you just killed a 150-point drill, took out half my berserkers, whatever. I think there's some big brain moves in there. It's a lot of stage management, like absolutely every aspect of our army tends to be. But I like that. I respect that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say for the record now, I ran the Master of Executions in 8th edition, the very end, in all my tournament lists because he was damn cheap. And I used him as a HQ for my Red Corsair battalion to get those extra CP. And he showed up in some games, man. Some games at some tournaments, I was like, man, that Master of Executions did more damage than all my World Leader characters combined. So don't write him out. But look, let's see how it goes. I'll play a game with him pretty soon, probably against my friend Stark Eldar. And you might see a video of the first hobby video could be me melting down my Master of Executions because he did so bad. I don't know. Or it could be me making a brand new awesome Master of Executions because I'm like, he's so good, I need to represent him better. Just wait and see. It's going to be one or the other.
Have you ever seen those videos? How to make like what's the big Nurgle greater demon? Greater unclean one. How to make a greater unclean one out of GW sprues. Have you ever seen that? How to make an exalted champion out of a melted down Master of Executions.
So stay tuned. We'll see how he does, and it's going to be fun.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. I like that. Excuse me. So I took the equally difficult task of trying to get some value out of the Chosen, which this
I would say that is a much more difficult task.
It's pretty tough. I'm gonna tell you. It's I've always had a soft spot for the unit of Chosen, because I had several boxes of the Dark Vengeance set. A lot of my models are kind of kit bashed from that because I just loved the Chosen Squad model range that came in Dark Vengeance, right? But I'm not a fan personally of a unit having loads of different weapon options. Just for me, and that's kind of two-part. One is it's faster on the table if all my models have got the same equipment, because I've got one handful of dice. I haven't got to do like 30 different rolls. And also I forget. Like, I'm terrible with remembering that stuff. So that I never run the Chosen Squad that exists as Chosen. I just make my own. I played with a squad of 5 with plasma guns and power fists in 8th edition, or like a combi plasma, because I do like that you can get up to 6 special weapons in a squad. Then I had a squad with flamers and chain axes, and like that's in 8th edition. They went right.
Yeah, it was always like, why take Chosen when you can just take Berserkers?
Yeah, like if you want combat, you're going Berserkers. If you want a kind of backline obsec or a backline, you're either going Havocs or Chaos Space Marines or Cultists, depending on points and everything else. There's never been a role for them. Leadership is still almost irrelevant, so the extra point of leadership doesn't matter. The attack is nice, but again, we have Berserkers. If we're going in combat, or like we're going super cheap and we're just going chainsaw, bolt pistol, Chaos Marines, right? I'd rather have obsec than an extra 5 attacks on a small squad, quite honestly. However, we both said we was going to try and do something. So I've come up with 3 builds. I'm only going to go over them briefly. 3 builds, which maybe in a very specific build against a very specific opponent might not be the reason you lose the game. Right? It'll be something else. Let me
okay.
just got to bring up Battle Scribe here. So obviously a base Chosen model is 1 point greater than a regular Chaos Marine. So a squad of 5 is 75 over 70 for the Marines, if I'm doing my math right. Let me just check. Yeah. For that point, you do get an extra attack, you get an extra point of leadership, and you get access to a lot more special weapons, but you lose obsec. So in 9th, obsec beats those options, in my opinion. The first choice I've got is 75 points, so we're not really doing much. They all come stock with a bolt gun, and I'm giving them a chainsaw. So they've just got a bolt gun and a chainsaw. That's it. So the chainsword is good. Obviously, it's another attack. It's -1 AP. The bolt gun, we like bolt guns. I'd rather have a bolt gun than a bolt pistol. Certainly isn't World Eater, because whilst I'm going to be getting in combat, I know my fight phase is going to take care of business. I'm not worried about a little bit of strength 4, 0 AP whilst in combat. I'd rather have the bolt guns. So I think for 75 points, 5 Chosen. That's if they stay still and they're sitting on a back objective, not threatened. 10 bolt round shots. Okay, it's a little bit of data. Take care of chip a couple Marines away here and there. Decimate a squad of guardsmen. It'll do the business. But if they do get in combat, like any World Eaters unit, whether it's Raptors or Chaos Marines, because of the additional attack. So 5 in the squad, because they're base 2, it's 11 for the squad base, because the champion gets an extra one. Hateful Assault and Butcher's Nails, they're up to 21. Chainswords, they're up to 26 -1 AP attacks. That's not bad. 75 points, that's not bad. Plus the bolt guns, it's not terrible. I'm never going to do that, but it's not terrible. If you really want to use Chosen, it's an option. You're kind of getting the best of both builds of a Chaos Marine unit, which isn't very good anyway.
Oh.
But I'm trying, man. I'm trying. So
I would just say that for 75 points, you can get a squad of 5 raptors
I know.
who have the same,
Aware.
pretty much the same amount of attacks, 5 less, can fly. So the range of the Vulcans doesn't really matter, you know.
Shut up, Dara. Shut up.
You know, and raptors have -1 to your enemy's leadership, which you know, that's good.
Shut up.
No, I know, I get you. You gotta.
But listen,
like,
you've already maxed out your 3 fast attack slots with 3 squads of raptors. So
True.
you just
True.
and the only
true.
model the only right arms model bits you have available because of the Suez Canal crisis or whatever it was, you only have chainsaws and bolt guns, so you have no choice but to take Chosen. Okay.
I don't hate it. I mean, like,
I do. It's okay.
It's okay.
Why would you
it's
take that if you could take raptors right now? It's
yeah. That's the sad truth.
I know. But okay, so I'm gonna spend 15 points here. I'm doing it, going crazy. So, hear me out. Again, 5 chosen. Everything's the same. They all come equipped with a bolt gun, but instead of a chainsword, we give them a lightning claw.
Okay, yeah, way more interested already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so much better.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
It's okay. So it's 90 points. So we're in Berserker territory now, right?
Yep.
So the direct comparison is Berserkers, because Berserkers do have the volume here. But as we've talked about before, with the kind of the meta for Berserkers, MSU versus larger squads, Power Fist versus Lightning Claw on the champ, those kind of things. The one of the best indirect buffs of the Lightning Claw is the independence the user gains as a World Eater by no longer relying on an exalted champion. And it actually can free up points in your list with the Lightning Claws, because you may not no longer need an exalted champion.
And what you can get instead of the exalted champion, Master of Executions.
Yes.
It's all coming together so nicely.
Wow. You see, this is why you're on the channel, man. We've solved the
It's
meta.
brilliant. Same minds, same minds.
So okay, my thinking behind this was the first version I built yesterday or the day before when I was messing around. I was like, well, Lightning Claws are great. I was messing around in Battle Scribe. I paid for the Warhammer app, but I just prefer Battle Scribe. I can't get used to, and that's just me being an old codger. Like it's newfangled technology, right? According to Battle Scribe, and I didn't verify this, Lightning Claw is 3 points for a chosen. I believe that's accurate. I'm sure someone's going to comment below and let me know if it's not. But Lightning Claw's a badass.
Yep.
That suddenly makes this squad independent. They can damage anything on the table. Obviously, certain things are going to be far more vulnerable. They're going to be very good against T4, especially your Marines and Necrons, for instance, stuff like that. They're not going to win you a game, but the amount of attacks again is the same. It'll be 26 attacks, same as the chainsaw, but we're at -2, and we're re-rolling wounds. So that damage efficiency for 15 points overall has massively increased.
Yeah, for sure.
We're doing a lot more damage. Again, I don't think I'd ever take this, certainly as they stand. But Lightning Claws are good. They can take every model, or at least the first 5 or 6 models can certainly take a Lightning Claw. Warp Talons and Terminators are the only multi-model units we currently have that can do that other than Chosen. Like, Champions can take it, but I'm talking about 5 or more models. Terminators were doing that, probably doing that, right? Either 1 or 2 Lightning Claws. Warp Talons are just not a choice at the moment. They're just...
No way.
Their ability is useless and they're overcosted. I mean, they're a Raptor with 2 Lightning Claws cost-wise, but I don't want to pay that. I don't want to pay that.
Why would you?
Yeah. And now, if they could deep strike 6 inches or something useful, I'll consider. But for right now, Terminators and Berserker Champs are where my Lightning Claws are, and Lightning Claws are good. I don't know. It's an option. We're trying, like I said, we're trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Throw on vets, throw on stoke the nails, and all
the good
little
stuff.
buffs.
Yep.
There's a little bit of spice there, a little bit. Then this is my last one. This is one that I would love to be able to take because it's just badass, but it's ridiculous. So, all right, again, five chosen. So let's do it this way so I can actually read it properly. The champion has a combi melter and a thunder hammer.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 chosen with chainswords and bolt guns, and then there are 2 with melter guns and thunder hammers, for a total of 141 points. Yeah, I know. But I was driving home before we chat because I came up with this one on the drive home. I wasn't driving. On the drive home from where it was, and I was like, I used to run a squad of 8 chosen with thunder hammers and chainswords, kind of like how Death Company play, just without jump packs, right? I tried them out a couple of times, and they were fun, but still just Marines, squishy Marines. So I thought, how much anti-tank damage can I get out of a squad of chosen for 100 under 150? I thought, let's do 2 ablative wounds because they're Marines. They're 1 wound Marines. They're 3 up save. They're going to die to a stiff breeze. If we throw 3 melters, 3 thunder hammers, if I got the math right in my head against a T7, like a typical Space Marine tank, Rhino, Predator, something like that, I believe between shooting and combat, it can easily kill one. It can trade evenly in points, basically. Now that's not factoring Overwatch, length of charge, being able to get anywhere close enough, all the things that actually impact the value of a point. But in the ideal situation, they can probably trade evenly. I need to subtitle that bit. In the ideal situation, they can trade evenly. That is the best they can hope for.
This is not me and Jamie saying go out and start buying chosen and killing them with combi melters and thunder hammers. No. Though I did run, you're gonna laugh at this one. In 8th edition, when I first bought it, I ran my drill with a squad of 5 chosen who all had thunder hammers, and I think they had combi bolters.
Okay, yeah.
It was terrible. It was so bad. I ran it once and I was like, never again.
Yeah, because you're paying like probably 160 odd points for that, or
it was more because the thunder hammers were like 20 points a model back then. Right, because you had to pay the HQ points. Yeah. Look, you've made the best of a bad lot. I'll say that much.
Yeah. I think the lightning claw option, whilst again no recommendation, it's not terrible. If we didn't have Raptors or Red Butcher Terminators, it might be something that we would talk about.
Yeah.
But we've, even on a low tier codex, on a 4-year-old codex, we have better options. And sadly, I cannot think in anything above a very friendly game. Once you start hitting, like a random stranger at the gaming store for a match play mission, so you don't really know how hard they're going to go, up to your proper tournament level competitive games, you're not taking chosen. I don't think there's any place for them at the moment, sadly.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree with you. I'm really it's sad because I agree with you. I think they're amazing. The idea of them is so cool, but right now they're not good. That's it, really. Especially as world leaders, we just have better choices in Berserkers and Red Butchers. Maybe other legions might have more use, but right now I just don't think so, unfortunately.
It's a shame. Iconic unit, and again, like the Master of Executions, brand new model, relatively, has potential and is so world eaters. Like the Master of Executions job, he picks a target and he barrels straight for them, and that skull is his. It's Khorne's skull, so close, but
yeah, I mean, we can only hope. I mean, we'll see what's to come. He might be really good. It's impossible to say. I'm sure GW are quite cognizant of the fact that basically the entire community said that they hated the Master of Executions in terms of rules. Like, they're not going to ignore that. You know, they're going to do something about them. We've already seen, like, across the board, every codex that's come out, HQs have been really good. You know, so I'm fully expecting the Master of Executions to be really useful in a World Leaders army whenever we get our codex.
Yeah.
And probably chosen as well, to be honest. You know, they're not going to do nothing with them.
Yeah, they'll do so. Okay, I want to wrap this up here, mate. First off, thanks for coming on, and thanks for agreeing to be part of the channel and lending your skills, your expertise, and everything. I think it's going to be really good for the community as a whole, for the subscribers, for everyone involved with the Red Path, right? So everyone watching again, you know, please leave some comments and welcome Dara on board. We're gonna get you some kick-ass stuff going. We've got a lot of stuff that Dara's aware of, kind of in the pipeline at the moment. There's a couple little things almost on the edge of announcing. I've given some very strong hints about in Discord and stuff. I've just got some other stuff to finalize for that. Yeah, Dara, do you want to take this out?
Yeah, sure. So, thanks so much, Jamie, for giving me this opportunity to join. I really, really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. And thanks everyone in, you know, the Discord and in the other YouTube videos I've done, and, you know, on Reddit as well for, I suppose, like, I mean, that's where it all started for me, you know, making those tacticas and stuff. And it's been a really interesting journey for me. And I'm so happy to be doing this. I'm really excited to, you know, create content for everyone. I hope it's enjoyable. And yeah, I just can't tell you guys how excited I am. This is going to be really interesting and really fun, and I can't wait to see in, like, hopefully not too long, when we get our codex, all the amazing things that are going to come from that. And yeah, thanks so much is basically all I want to say.
Save up your sick hours at work, because, you know, when that codex drops, we're going to have a lot to do.
Oh yeah.
All right, everyone, thanks for watching, and stay healthy, stay safe, and kill main bird.